Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're heading over to Southeast Asia. We're going to tackle a question many travelers face. Phuket, Thailand. It's probably the most famous island getaway globally, known for, stunning beauty. But maybe it's been loved a bit too much.
That's the core issue, isn't it?
Yeah, so our mission today, for you thinking about a 2025 trip, is to figure out, is Phuket still that paradise?
Yeah.
Or have the crowds, the traffic, the costs kind of spoiled it?
It's a classic conflict, really. Phuket has these absolutely iconic beaches, incredible culture, and it's just so accessible compared to many other Thai islands.
Right.
But that very popularity, it's put a huge strain on the place. So yeah, the big question is whether that sort of utopian image holds up against the reality of being a massive global tourist hub.
Okay, let's unpack that. Maybe start with the basics. What's the core appeal that still pulls in millions? We hear beaches, obviously, but are there specific spots that still have that paradise feel? The ones that aren't totally overrun?
Yeah, and this is where our sources give some really crucial pointers. Because if you only stick to the main drags, like, say, Patong, you might leave feeling a bit disappointed. The insight is the beauty is definitely still there, absolutely, but you kind of have to seek it out. The sources often mention beaches like Mai Khao, way up north. It's actually part of a national park, so it's protected.
Oh, interesting.
And Surin Beach, too, it tends to have a slightly more upscale, maybe calmer vibe than down south.
Okay, calmer sounds good. But I remember reading about one specific beach, Freedom Beach. The sources seem to really emphasize that one. Why is it still considered so pristine?
Freedom Beach. Yeah, what makes that one special is, well, it's deliberately inconvenient.
How so?
You either face this pretty tricky hike down a steep hillside, or the much more common way, you have to pay for a long-tail boat to get you there.
Okay. So there's a barrier to entry.
Exactly. That little bit of friction, needing that extra effort or specific transport, it basically filters out like 90% of the casual beachgoers.
Yeah.
So you end up with this gorgeous little bay, crystal clear water, white sand, largely because it's not easy to just wander onto.
Right.
It kind of proves the point that Phuket's natural beauty is still intact. It's managing the access that's the challenge.
So the beauty's there if you're willing to put in a bit of legwork or baht for the boat. Okay, moving off the sand. But that one's got huge cultural draws too, right? And activities.
Oh, definitely.
If someone wants that connection to Thai culture, what should they absolutely prioritize?
Culturally, Phuket is really rich, actually. It's deeply tied into Thai history. The two spots consistently mentioned as non-negotiables are the Big Buddha.
You can't miss that one, literally.
No, you can't. It towers over the island. And it's not just spiritual. The panoramic views from up there are incredible. Really gives you a sense of the island's scale.
And the other one?
Wat Chalong. It's one of the most revered and historically important temples in Phuket.
Okay, Wat Chalong. Why is that significant for a visitor, beyond just being beautiful?
Well, it connects you directly to local history, local beliefs. Visiting places like Wat Chalong, it helps balance out, the beach parties with something deeper, more traditional.
A bit of balance. Makes sense.
Plus, Phuket is this amazing launch pad for exploring. You've got world-class island hopping right on your doorstep. James Bond Island, obviously.
Iconic.
And crucially, the Similan Islands. They are consistently ranked among the world's absolute best spots for snorkeling and diving.
Wow, okay.
The access from Phuket is just phenomenal.
That ease of access really seems like a major point. Getting to some of the other Thai islands can be, well, an adventure in itself. Phuket sounds much more straightforward.
Exactly. Logistically, Phuket is probably its strongest selling point. You've got this huge international airport, great flight connections from everywhere, and accommodation. It runs the whole gamut. Basic budget spots right up to serious ultra-luxury resorts. That infrastructure just smooths out so much travel friction.
Right.
And if you're thinking about responsible tourism, the sources specifically highlighted the Gibbon Rehabilitation Center. It's pointed out as a really well-regarded example, moving away from some potentially iffy animal attractions you sometimes find in heavily touristed areas.
That's good to know. Okay, so that builds a pretty strong case. Beauty, culture, activities, easy logistics, even ethical options.
Yeah, it's compelling.
But that ease, that volume, brings us right to the other side of the coin, the tension. This is where the sources started raising some pretty significant trade-offs. What's the single biggest issue people flag?
Overtourism,
Yeah.
hands down. And the sheer density that comes with it. Phuket is, it's a victim of its own success, really.
How does that manifest? Like, what does it feel like on the ground?
The sources talk a lot about serious congestion, not just traffic jams, though those are bad, but crowds at popular spots, Penang Beach, obviously, but even places like Phuket Old Town.
Yeah.
You might spend, an hour stuck in traffic to reach a site, only to have to jostle through crowds once you get there. It can really take the shine off.
And I imagine that volume pushes up prices, too. Is Phuket still doable for someone trying to keep costs reasonable?
It takes effort. Serious effort. Phuket is consistently more expensive than mainland Thailand, and definitely pricier than many of the less famous islands down south.
Accommodation especially.
Yeah, accommodation, particularly in high season, can be a bit of a shock. Dining out in tourist areas is also inflated. If you're backpacking or just generally budget conscious, you have to work much harder to find value here compared to, say, Chiang Mai or even parts of Bangkok. You're paying that premium for the name and the convenience.
Okay, higher costs, need to work for value. That seems manageable. But let's talk about the real elephant in the room. Traffic and safety. If I fly in, I'm probably staying somewhere relatively central. And the sources make renting a scooter sound. Oh, terrifying.
Yeah.
Is it even possible to avoid that traffic stress? Or do you just have to accept the chaos?
You can't entirely avoid the chaos, no, but you absolutely must mitigate the risk. The sources were really unanimous on this. The traffic is intense, often described as aggressive.
Aggressive, wow.
And yeah, scooter accidents are alarmingly common. One source even said navigating felt less like driving on vacation and more like a high-stakes game of chicken.
Yikes.
So caution is just paramount. Renting a scooter if you're not highly confident, navigating dense, chaotic, unfamiliar traffic, that's a gamble, a big one.
Right. Stepping back a bit, there's also the environmental impact of all this development, all these people. What are the visible signs?
You see the strain mainly in two ways. One is just overdevelopment itself, construction eating into natural habitats. The other, sadly, is litter. It affects waterways, beaches. When a place grows this fast, waste management systems, regulations, they often struggle to keep up.
So the paradise might look a bit frayed around the edges.
Yeah, especially once you get away from the perfectly manicured resorts. You start to see it.
And then there's what you might call the vibe mismatch. Phuket isn't just one thing, is it?
Not at all. And that can catch people out. If you arrive expecting a quiet, serene honeymoon spot but accidentally book near the heart of Patong's nightlife, well, you're in for a surprise.
Yeah, I can imagine.
That really vibrant, intense party scene is a huge draw for some people. But for families or anyone seeking peace and quiet, it's a major turnoff.
So you really need to research which Phuket you're booking into.
Absolutely. It creates this big planning challenge. You have to decide, am I here for the nightlife and easy access to everything in Patong? Or do I want tranquility, which means looking at the far north or specific bays down south?
It does raise that question, though. If the island's value hinges on actively avoiding its most famous area, how much core value is really left?
That's a fair point, and we haven't even touched on the weather yet.
Oh, yeah, the tropical factor.
Yeah.
Bad timing could wreck the whole beach experience, couldn't it?
Completely. If you travel during the main rainy season, that's roughly May through October, you're running a real risk of days-long downpours, really high humidity, choppy seas, which kind of cancels out the main attraction, the beaches, while leaving you stuck with all the downsides. The cost, the traffic, the crowds. Poor timing just ramps up that risk versus reward calculation significantly.
Okay, so we've laid out the good, the bad, the busy. What does this mean for you, the listener, the informed traveler?
Yeah.
If you weigh it all up and decide, okay, the culture, the potential for finding those quiet spots, it's worth navigating the challenges, how do you actually do that? How do you maximize the good stuff and minimize the friction? We need a plan.
Right, a blueprint. And that blueprint starts with being precise.
Yeah.
First off, timing. It's crucial. Aim for the cool, dry season. That's generally November through February.
A peak season, basically.
It is peak season, yes, which means peak prices too. But it gives you the best shot at good weather. Traveling outside that window, you just have to accept a higher risk of rain and humidity. For a beach-focused trip, getting the timing right is almost non-negotiable.
Okay, step one, timing. Step two has to be crowd, since that's the biggest complaint. What's the detailed strategy there? Is just staying away from Patong Beach enough?
It's the start, but no, you need to go further. The key strategy is really geographical displacement.
Maybe.
Meaning physically staying in quieter areas, places like Mai Khao up north, maybe Kamala or Lane Beach. If tranquility is the goal, base yourself there.
Got it.
And structure your days to avoid peak times, too. Visit popular spots like the Big Buddha first thing in the morning, right when they open, before the big tour buses roll in.
Smart. Okay, let's circle back to transport safety. Those warnings about traffic were stark. If I'm not brave enough, or maybe just sensible enough, to rent a scooter, what are the realistic, safe options? And what does that do to my budget?
Okay, reliable alternatives definitely exist.
Right.
But yes, they require a budget adjustment. You've got ride-hailing apps. They work pretty well there.
Like Grab.
Yeah, Grab is common. But as we mentioned, the fares can feel high, partly because of local pricing dynamics. Taxis are everywhere too, but you often need to negotiate fares or agree on a price beforehand, which can be inconsistent.
So, more hassle or more cost?
Pretty much. The best advice seems to be budget significantly more for daily transport than you might elsewhere. Maybe even double what you'd expect in a less developed tourist spot. That allows you to rely on professional drivers safely. Trying to save money by taking transport risks. Just don't.
Okay, noted. Don't skimp on safe transport. What about other budget hacks? For someone determined to experience Phuket without, remortgaging their house.
Strategic accommodation is key. Look slightly inland, maybe a street or two back from the main beach frontage, or check out smaller guest houses rather than big resorts. That's where the real savings are often found.
Makes sense. And food.
For dining, definitely avoid the main tourist restaurant strips if budget is tight. Seek out the local night markets, they're fantastic. Or look for those small, family-run roadside places.
Authentic Thai food.
Exactly. You'll save a ton of money, and you'll probably eat much more authentic, delicious food. But again, it requires deliberately looking away from the obvious tourist path.
Right. It keeps coming back to being intentional, doesn't it? And finally, just to reiterate, making responsible choices seems important here, given the environmental pressures.
Absolutely. And the Gidin Rehabilitation Center is that perfect example again. Spending your tourist money there supports animal welfare, conservation. It directly counteracts some of the negative impacts the island faces.
So you can vote with your wallet, essentially.
Yeah, every traveler can choose to support businesses that are actively trying to preserve what makes Phuket special in the first place. So if we pull all this together, Phuket really does offer this potent mix, culture, nature, incredible infrastructure.
Right.
But its value right now in 2025, it absolutely hinges on careful, thoughtful planning.
Yeah.
It's just not a destination anymore where you can just show up and expect instant paradise without any effort. You have to actively plan your strategy and an anti-cost strategy to really make it work.
So we've established that those hidden gems, those pristine beaches like Freedom Beach, they do still exist. We've seen the importance of cultural anchors like the Big Buddha and Wat Shalong to get beneath the surface. And we've faced the reality that, cost and congestion are real trade-offs you have to budget for in terms of both money and patience.
Exactly.
And the sources seem to lead to one big conclusion. The final verdict on whether Phuket is worth it. It doesn't actually depend on the island itself as much as it depends on you, the traveler.
Well said.
Its worth isn't universal anymore. It's defined by your travel style, your expectations, and crucially, your willingness to plan meticulously. If you're prepared to study the map, seek out those quieter spots, definitely aim for that cool, dry season. Then yes, that paradise element is still very much accessible.
And it requires work.
It does. But if you just wander in expecting cheap, pristine, quiet relaxation without any plan, you're almost certainly going to bump up against those friction points, the crowds, the costs, the traffic.
So here's a final thought to leave you with. When does a hugely popular destination keep its value? What's the defining factor for you? Is it the inherent beauty that endures despite the crowds? Or is it the strategic effort required to actually access and enjoy that beauty? Something to think about. Until next time, keep diving deep.